Five, four, three, two, one.
Alright. Is this good?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Jaquan, it's good to see you.
Hi, doctor. How you doing?
I'm alright, how are you?
Well, I'm okay. Just a whole lot of shit is going on right now.
A lot of
Which,
shit.
yeah, just in terms of me, in terms of, finding myself and finding my identity. Sometimes there are complications and issues with that, I feel.
What kind of complications and issues are you
Well, I come from a family that is very homophobic, and with me being a gay urban teenager, me being a gay teenager in an urban environment, um, sometimes I feel that I'm not accepted by my family and let alone from various members in my community. And sometimes with that brings a whole bag of mixed emotions.
So you're not really feeling accepted by people in your family and then some people in your social life too?
That is correct. And there have been various family members that have told me that they totally do not like the fact that I've identified as gay, and I feel somewhat disconnected from them. And also, I feel as if they've, in some instances, have distanced themselves from me.
Since you came out to them.
That's right.
What was your relationship like before you came out?
Prior to coming out, I mean, I think the relationship was good. Um, I do feel, however, that there have been instances throughout my young life where I don't feel that my parents really have been attentive to my individual needs um, as a developing teenager slash young person. I think it's partly because of the belief system. My parents are like super into church. They're like really into church, and so
Right.
it's like if I don't embrace or do what they believe and do, I get I, I get I get dogged out.
Right.
Get dogged out by them, and so life can really suck. And so there are times when I feel that my opinion and what I believe doesn't matter to them
That's hard.
because I've had to always conform to what they believe and what they've told me to believe.
Do you believe those things?
I am a spiritual being. I'm a spiritual person, but I don't believe that there's a lot of hatred, and I believe that God is love. It's my personal belief system. I don't try to force that on anyone,
Right.
Because I'm respectful of all people and belief systems. But I just think that my parents are just very extreme with their Christianity.
Right. Well, and that's a hardship that a lot of people unfortunately do face. Growing up in religious families, especially in African American communities, it can be very hard to come out and to do those things, knowing that it is such a religious environment. So, I mean, that took a lot of strength on your part to be able to do that, knowing maybe what difficulties there would be. How were you thinking your parents might respond when you came out?
Um, Deep down inside, I'm really just like clueless because part of me was thinking, oh well, if I were to tell them that I were gay, would they beat me? Would they kick me out of the house? Um, so I don't. In some instances, I don't think It wasn't the fact that I was clueless. There were just so many different things were going through my mind. Geez, ideally, if I came out to them, ideally I would want to see them, embrace me and love me for who I am.
Right. Have you
Oh,
had
and by the fact, I have not come out to them.
you what?
Um,
Sorry, I didn't
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes. Well, I have come out to
Okay.
like my immediate family, like my mom and my dad. But there are other members of the family that I mean, for the most part, and I guess this is just how families work sometimes. Once you have news to share, it spreads like a wildfire. So
Right.
I may not have personally come out to all of my family members, but at this juncture, I think it's safe to say that almost all of my family knows about my sexual orientation and who I am.
How does that feel to have not very much control over who knows and who doesn't know?
Um, I'd say it's. I think it's so for me, it can be somewhat difficult because there are a few relatives in my family, not all, but there are a few relatives who, have accepted me and they said, "Oh, well, we love you regardless,"
Hmm.
and that makes me feel good.
Hmm.
But there is that. Um, I I hate to say it. I think that there is that majority of the family that's just not in agreement. And again, like I've said, I somewhat feel as if they have distanced themselves from me.
Right. How have they distance themselves?
Uh, well, it wasn't untypical not to receive a phone call just saying, "Hey, how's it going?
Hmm.
How's high school?
Hmm.
How your friends doing?
Right.
Or we're having pizza. You want to come over and hang out with the rest of your cousins?" Things of that nature.
So you're sort of left out of all that now.
Yeah,
That's hard.
yeah, it is hard, and as a result, I've had to try to find you know, other friends and individuals who identify as LGBT. And of course, it's not easy for me because I'm not an adult. I'm still
Right.
a minor, so it's kind of sucks.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, your family's who you depend on, and for a lot of people, it's really important. But it sort of does show how resourceful you are. You're trying to create that community for yourself outside of your family. I mean, as much as you can.
Yeah.
Um, how's that been going?
Well, it has its ups and its downs. As with anything in life, you just have to be sure and be mindful that individuals don't take advantage of who you are as an individual, and so that I think that has been a challenge, and then also just me finding um, safe spaces, as they say,
Hmm.
so that I can truly be authentic. Because even at my high school, it's like really there's like just so much homophobia and hatred and disrespect towards gays and lesbians. But the cool thing is that um, I have gone to a couple of the gay straight alliance meetings at my high school,
Hmm.
and then they've been very helpful.
They have been.
Yeah, so that's helping me pinpoint and find very a community somewhere where I can belong to.
Right. And you feel like you get to be yourself when you're there?
Yes, yes, and I always try to be an authentic person, but one of the things that I do struggle with at times is um, worrying about how others would perceive me and that fear of rejection.
Hmm.
And ultimately in my life, I want to be over those things of worrying about what others would say and of
Right.
feeling rejected. But I have to accept and acknowledge that inner struggle is trying to get over that
Absolutely. And I think
because
it's. Oh,
because there are times when where I want to be a gay man, I want to be a black gay man and accepted by my community, but then there are other times and in settings where I don't want to be a gay man because of all the hatred and the abuse and just the disrespect
Mhm.
that some individuals display towards
When you say some individuals,
family, acquaintances at school, some teachers,
yeah.
um, and just so you know, I mean, I'm very active. I mean, I'm on the track team,
Okay.
and I'm very fast.
Mhm.
But even when I do my workouts and I, compete at various track meets,
Mhm.
I hear some of my fellow uh, teammates, not all of them, just a few, because I have a good group of my teammates, who support me and they respect me regardless.
Mhm.
But there are a few who are just very disrespectful. They try to taunt. They claim they're just joking. So I just have to just stay focused on what I do.
So when they do taunt you, what do? They call you names? What?
And they say, "Hey, look at that faggot," and one of them says, "You're a fast faggot."
Mhm.
And so I cussed at him and told him, "Fuck you."
So you respond.
Yeah, I did respond,
Okay.
and probably shouldn't have done that. I mean, I didn't throw any fists, or he didn't. He just um, he tried coming at me.
Mhm.
I told him, I said, "Yeah, you heard exactly what I said." So a couple of teammates, they kept him away and
Right.
made sure that we didn't harm each other or anything of that nature.
Well, and you're also allowed to feel how you want to feel when someone says that.
Yeah,
So if you feel like hey, fuck you, it might you're gonna have to figure out the appropriate balance. How can you respond without getting into a fight or something like that,
right,
which it sounds like you kind of did.
right.
But a lot gets stirred up when something like that happens.
Yeah, and I try not to use cuss words and cuss at people, and for the most part, I keep a calm demeanor about myself. But
Right.
that really just kind of got me going.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I think too that within my childhood years, um, I think there were times when I don't think I was given the opportunity to really express um, my feelings and emotions at times because of the strict upbringing that my parents, how they raised me.
Mm.
So I'm not negating all that my parents have done in terms of how they raised me, but I do think there are times when uh, I withheld, I with, I withheld certain feelings and emotions because I was scared of what the consequences would be.
Right. So you feel like there's sort of a lot inside of you that you haven't been able to get out.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
So when someone, does start making fun of you at school or something bad happens, it's kind of like a small little reaction, a little bit comes out.
Right, right. And like just when the instance when I cussed back at the teammate, that was like big for me because usually I don't snap off like that.
Right.
Usually I have a cool demeanor.
So you talked about a little bit how when you were younger you had to hold stuff in. What would happen? Like what kind of situation would happen and you had to hold it in?
Um, Jeez.
It's hard to remember.
Well, yeah, because I mean, for the most part, I was a good kid, and so I pretty much always got what I wanted.
Okay.
So there's some of my cousins who feel that I'm spoiled and that I didn't get enough whoopings and
Mm.
things of that nature. And then you have other relatives who said, "Oh, you didn't have, you should have experienced other things that other kids did, as a child." But for the most part, for the most part, I think I had a balanced childhood. I do think that there are times where, again, because of my parents' belief system, I think they I think they forced that upon us because I do think we spent a lot of time at church.
Mhm.
Um, and so I just think it would have been nice to have really participated in other activities with my folks, with my parents, besides just going to church all the time.
Right. What other activities would you have wanted to do? What other fun stuff?
Travel, just fun things. Going to various sporting events. I mean, me and my dad, we would go to various sporting events and things of that nature, but just and also too, my family were not rich, so
Right.
we didn't get to do a lot of other things that other families who have a better income status in terms of doing. So, my parents, they tried to make the best that they, to do the best they could out of their situation. I mean, they put us through, put us, through the schools and did various, supported me
Well,
early on. But still, it just would have been nice. I just think that they just centered a lot of things around us always being in church all the time.
Right.
And so when you do something repetitiously, eventually you enjoy it. And so
Do you enjoy it?
I mean, yeah, I enjoy going to church, but I don't enjoy when uh, there's certain members of the church who try to judge and condemn
Mhm.
uh, because of because of my because of me being gay.
Are there church members or family members or religious people you know who don't feel that way about you being gay?
Well, there are like very, very few individuals in the congregation, and um, they don't necessarily hold the belief system on the belief system of what the pastor says, and they may not verbalize their support for the LGBT community in public, but they there are some, they're very few, but they do respect me
Outside
and
of
treat me with dignity.
they do.
So that's good, but I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to stay within the faith community that my parents go to, because they, as a whole, as a whole body, they believe that being gay is a sin.
Right.
So
That's tough.
yeah, it is tough to be in that environment, and
Well, and for your parents to think that.
well, yeah, and so all of that comes on me, because because of this belief system that they believe that being gay is a sin, and that if you're gay you're gonna go to hell. So all of that gets spewed onto me.
Is this something that you and your family talk about?
Um, yeah, it's like,
So they're open about their
well,
beliefs.
well, the thing is that yeah, they're open about their beliefs, but also too, it's like when I'm just hanging out or just watching TV, either one of them, my mother or my dad or both of them, they'll try to come in the room and start talking about gay and how it's wrong and how it's sinful.
And what happens for you when they do that?
Well, I just try to just be quiet and just listen. But there are times when, I don't want to listen to them anymore.
Right.
I just go to my room.
So that's more of like what you sort of talked about, a pattern like holding in and
Yeah,
not getting
because when they try to have those talks, I'm obligated and forced to have to sit there.
Have you
And
ever?
so, um, if I were to have, walked out of the room while they were talking to me, I'd probably get a whooping.
You think so?
Yeah, so, I'm just, seems like the boat has already been rocked with me coming out
Mm-hmm.
as a gay teenager. So it's like I just want to get through my senior year. So I'm going into my senior year now,
Mm-hmm.
and graduation. So I can go off to college and
Right.
get a good scholarship for my academics as well as track. And
Well, that's sort of a tough situation for a lot of gay teens.
Yeah.
if their home life around that stuff isn't the best, they don't have the option that a lot of adults have. You know, they can't just leave and be done with it.
Yeah.
And so it's hard. You're sort of forced to stick around and maybe be in this position where you don't feel very comfortable.
Yeah, and it feels like I'm like a punching bag and like I'm a dummy because of all these taunts and having to go through some of the just the foolishness that people speak and talk. It's crazy. So I'm glad that there's a safe space for me,
Hmm.
so that I can express express myself as well as be who I am authentically.
Yeah, right at the Gay Straight Alliance. You were
Yeah,
saying.
right at the Gray Star Alliance at the high school.
Okay. And your social circle of friends, they're accepting of your sexuality, or
Yeah, for the most part, they my friends they have been,
okay.
and so of course there were some acquaintances, who once I acknowledged who I am, they just went about their way, and that's fine.
Hmm.
But for the most part, I do feel that I have a decent network of friends and acquaintances that support me, and so it hasn't been easy, but I've tried to um, make sure that I'm in the company of people that uh, that can accept me for who I am, but also too, they can really accept who they are as well.
Right. People who are themselves.
Yeah, yeah, because I don't want to be around like a whole bunch of drama.
Right. Now, Philadelphia is actually a good city for a lot of um, gay youth and stuff like that because there are a lot of events always going on in the city. Are you someone who likes to, go to public events like that, or do your
Well,
parents?
yeah, I've heard of some of the like some of the events that they've had. I mean, I'm new to the whole out scene.
Right.
I've heard about some of the various uh, like the gay pride celebrations, and me and a couple of friends, we kind of snuck off and went to the parade and
Hmm.
just checked it out. It was, I mean, for the most part, it was great.
It was great.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it.
What was great about it?
Well, just seeing all of the diverse group of people coming together in one setting was very powerful.
Yeah, I bet.
So hope just to seeing all different colors and spectrums of the rainbow.
Hmm.
That was I think was very empowering.
Yeah. Going.
Yeah.
It's just so. I picture in my head you being at this. You said it was a pride parade.
Yeah.
And then compared to sort of being in your home, they're two just such opposite things.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. To me, it seems like, if you enjoyed it, maybe getting involved in some more of the events like that, if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, there's this place that I think I've been to like two of this meetings. I think they call it the Attic, the
Attic.
Broad Street Ministry. It's called like the Youth Attic. So
Okay.
it's a pretty cool place. They have a couple of I've been to a couple of the parties that they have for gay youth teenagers
Hmm.
in the community, and I saw a couple of my friends actually.
Yeah.
We went together.
Cool.
So it was that was nice to have a safe space like that.
Yeah, it's nice to have a safe space and somewhere where you can express yourself and maybe don't have to hold as much in if you don't want to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So for the most part, I felt that was I mean that was a good experience. That was a good experience.
So, you talked about going to college. You talked about maybe getting a scholarship and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
In like 3 years from now, where do you, or not 3 years, that's a long way out. So, like in a year from now, you're a senior, you said.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Senior this year. Yep.
Uh-huh. Where do you see yourself in like a year?
Well, in a year, I see myself hopefully enrolled in a college, um, running track, and just more than likely I'll be living on campus. So I would like to go to a institution that is accepting or that is known for having good resources for gay gay students,
Yeah.
and just making the best of my life. Um,
What?
I don't know how much support I'm going to be getting from my parents as a result of me coming out to them, uh, but I know that I know that with help from God, I will survive,
Mhm.
and I do believe that. I do believe that better is coming for me, so I don't have to be in that in the hostile homophobic environment.
Right.
So it's somewhat uncertain because I don't know how my parents are going to perceive me. Once I start coming home for the holidays, and that's why I want to make sure that I get my financial aid together
Right.
because with me coming out as being gay, I don't know how much financial support my parents will give to me.
Is that something you've talked about at all with them?
Not yet, because that's why I'm trying to focus on trying to do my part in terms of finding scholarship
Financial aid.
money
Yeah.
and grants to take care of my college years. So that, if I need to take out a student loan, I can take student loan out without having to worry about asking anything from them.
Right. It sounds like you've thought about a lot of this. You seem prepared.
Well, yeah, at least I hope. I hope so. It's I don't want to be. I believe that I've always believed that failing to plan is planning to fail. So always try to have an action plan.
That's good.
Yeah. So
All right.
yes. So I think for the most part, though, that things are steadily coming along. So I think that as long as I continue to find be in that support system, things will be better.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you are taking advantage of things your school has to offer, things the city has to offer. You are having some hard times with some people at school, but it sounds like you're also sort of reacting how you want to react, which is a positive thing.
Hmm.
Um, and so maybe next time we meet, we can talk a little bit more about your family and maybe some feelings around that if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, that sounds good.
All right. I'm glad I got to see you today.
All right, thanks, Doc. All right.